Hi, boys and girls. So today we are going to be reading chapter 7. And before we dive into chapter 7, I want to do a quick recap of what we read about last time. So last time we read the soldiers had, visited the Johansons, which they were not expecting, which was really, really scary. Now remember, Ellen has been living with the Johansons because her parents went off to hide. And so they thought it would be safer for Ellen to be with the Johansons and be a part of the family rather than trying to travel with her to, not be as suspicious. So anyways, the soldiers came, they questioned Mr. Johansen and everybody else in the family, and it was super, super scary. So now they thought, okay, you know what? We have to find another place to hide. So now Mrs. Johansen and Marie and Kirsty and Ellen are all going to travel to Uncle Henrik's house. So that's kind of where we left off. So the vocabulary word that I want us to focus on today for this chapter is the word apparently. So I'm sure you've heard this word and probably have used it, but never really thought, what does this really mean? So the word apparently is an adverb. It's describing something that is true based off of what you know. So for example, a sentence I can use is, apparently there was a power outage in Bunker Hill yesterday. So apparently, again, it's an adverb, is describing the verb. Okay, so make sure you look out for, listen to this word as I read today. All right, let's get started. Chapter 7, the house by the sea. So remember, they're at Uncle Henrik's house now. "Oh, Anne-Marie," Ellen said, with awe in her voice, "it is beautiful." Anne-Marie looked around and nodded her head in agreement. The house and the meadows that surrounded it were much part of her childhood, a part of her life. But she didn't often look at them with fresh eyes. But now she did, seeing Ellen's pleasure. And it was true. They were beautiful. The little red-roofed farmhouse was very old, its chimney crooked, and even the small shuttered windows tilted at angles. A bird's nest, wispy with straw, was half hidden in the corner where the roof met the wall above a bedroom window. Nearby, a gnarled tree was speckled with a few apples now long past ripe. Mama and Kirsty had gone inside, but Anne-Marie and Ellen ran across the high-grassed meadow through the late wildflowers. From nowhere, a gray kitten appeared and ran beside them, pouncing here and there upon imagined mice, pausing to lick its paws, and then darting off again. It pretended to ignore the girls, but looked back often to be certain that they were still there, apparently pleased to have playmates. The meadow ended at the sea, and the gray water licked there at damp brown grass flattened by the wind and bothered by smooth, heavy stones. "I have never been this close to the sea," Ellen said. "Of course you have. You've been to the harbor in Copenhagen 1,000,000 times," Ellen laughed. "I mean the real sea, the way it is here. Oh, like this, a whole world of water." Anne-Marie shook her head in amazement. To live in Denmark, a country surrounded by water, and never to have stood at its edge. You ever think about that? Like, you live in a place for so long and you don't really know what it has to offer, and you don't know what's around you, and it's amazing what you can find. "Your parents are really city people, aren't they?" Ellen nodded. "My mother is afraid of the ocean," she said, laughing. "She says it's way too big for her, and it's cold." The girls sat on a rock and took off their shoes and socks. They tiptoed across the damp stones and let the water touch their feet. It was cold. They giggled and stepped back. Anne-Marie leaned down and picked up a brown leaf that floated back and forth with the movement of the water. "Look," she said, "the leaf may have come from a tree in Sweden. It could have been blown from a tree into the sea and floated all the way across. See over there," she said, pointing. "See the land way over there? That's Sweden." That's crazy to think that you can just look over the water and just you look into another country. Ellen cupped one hand over her eyes and looked across the water at the misty shoreline that was another country. "It's not so very far," she said. "Maybe," Anne-Marie suggested. Standing over, there are two girls just our age, looking across and saying, "That's Denmark." They squinted into the hazy distance as if they might see Swedish children standing there and looking back, but it was too far. They only saw the hazy strip of land, and two small boats bobbing up and down in the gray ruffles of separating water. "I wonder If one of those is your Uncle Henrik's boat, Ellen said. Maybe. I can't tell. They're too far away. Uncle Henrik's boat is named the Ingborg, she told Ellen, for Mama. Ellen looked around. Does he keep it right here? Does he tie it up so that it won't float away? Anne Marie laughed. Oh no, in town at the harbor, there's a big dock, and all the fishing boats go and come from there. That's where they unloaded their fish. You can smell it. At night, they are all there, anchored in the harbor. Anne Marie! Ellen! Mama's voice came across the meadow. The girls looked around and saw her waving to them. They turned, picked up their shoes, and began walking towards the house. The kitten, who had settled comfortably on the stony shore, rose immediately and followed them. I took Ellen down to show her the sea, Anne Marie explained when they reached the place where Mama waited. She had never been that close before. We started to wade, but it was too cold. I wish we had come in the summer so we could swim. It's cold even then, Mama said. She looked around. You didn't see anyone, did you? You didn't talk to anyone. Anne Marie shook her head. Just the kitten. Ellen had picked it up and lay it purring in her arms, and she stroked its small head and talked to it softly. I meant to warn you. You must stay away from people while we are here. But there's no one around here, Anne Marie reminded her. Even so, if you see anyone at all, even someone you know, one of Henrik's friends, it is better if you come in the house. It is too difficult, maybe even dangerous, to explain who Ellen is. Ellen looked up and bit her lip. There aren't soldiers here too, she asked. Mama sighed. I'm afraid there are soldiers everywhere, and especially now. This is a bad time. Come in now and help me fix supper. Henrik will be home soon. Watch the step there. It's loose. Do you know what I have done? I have found enough apples for applesauce. Even though there is no sugar, the apples are sweet. Henrik will bring home some fish, and there is wood for the fire. So tonight we will be warm and well fed. It is not bad then, Anne Marie told her. Not if there is applesauce. Ellen kissed the kitten's head and let it leap from her arms to the ground. It darted away and disappeared in the tall grass. They followed Mama into the house. Hold on 1 second, guys. Okay. That night, the girls dressed for bed in the small bedroom upstairs they were sharing, the same bedroom that Mama had that had been Mama's when she was a little girl. Across the hall, Kirsty was already asleep in the wide bed that once belonged to Anne Marie's grandparents. Ellen touched her neck after she had put on Anne Marie's flower-springed nightgown, which Mama had packed. Excuse me, where's my necklace, she asked. What did you do with it? I hid it in a safe place, Anne Marie told her. A very secret place that no one will ever find it. And I will keep it there for you until it is safe for you to wear it again. Ellen nodded. Papa gave it to me when I was very small, she explained. She sat down at the edge of the old bed and ran her fingers along the handmade quilt that covered it. The flowers and birds, faded now, had been stitched onto the quilt by Anne Marie's great-grandmother many years before. I wish I knew where my parents are, Helen said in a small voice as she outlined one of the appliqued birds with her fingers. Anne Marie didn't have an answer for her. She patted Ellen's hand and they sat together silently, which, again, I can't imagine just being separated from your family. That's really scary. Through the window, they could see a thin, round slice of moon appear through the clouds against the pale sky. The Scandinavian night was not very dark yet, though soon, when winter came, the night would not only be dark, but very long. Night skies beginning in the late afternoon and lasting through the morning. From downstairs, they could hear Mama's voice and Uncle Henrik catching up on news. Mama missed her brother when they hadn't seen him for a while, and Anne Marie knew. They were very close. Mama always teased him gently for not marrying. She asked him, laughing when they were together, whether he had found a good wife yet, one who would keep his house tidier. Henrik teased back and told Mama that she should come to Gilly to live again so that he wouldn't have to do all the chores by himself. For a moment, to Anne Marie listening, it seemed like all the earlier times, the happy visits to the farm and the past of the summer daylight extending beyond bedtime, when the children tucked away in the bedrooms and the grown-ups downstairs talking. But there was a difference. In the earlier times, she had always overheard laughter. Tonight, there was no laughter at all. Okay, so really, wow. So kind of going into a little detail of just about what their life was like and kind of what it's like now. So stay tuned for the next one.